So it is currently Monday, and well, I say it's Monday, it's technically now Tuesday because it's midnight. I've just finished expressing and I did actually have to have a power nap earlier. I got home, I'll explain the day in a minute, but I basically got home, had a power nap, woke up, expressed, and I'm about to go back to bed. Something hasn't been quite right with me for the last couple of weeks. As I said in my last video, that is actually the most unfit I have ever been. I have been struggling to get up off the floor, I have been struggling to stand, I have been struggling to get in and out of my chair, and just something has just seemed off. I couldn't work out if it was my inflammatory arthritis or if it was just lack of exercise, lack of mobility training. But I've been as stiff as a board and I've been really struggling and I could not work out what it was. Now, if you have followed my channel for a while, then you know that I do have inflammatory bowel disease, specifically ulcerative colitis. When I have a colitis flare-up, it can cause it does cause inflammatory arthritis, anemia, and a couple of other problems and complications. I realised today that I have actually been having an IBD flare-up or an ulcerative colitis flare-up for the last 2 weeks. It's not a severe one, it is only a mild one, which is why I've not got too much stomach pain or actually haven't had any stomach pain, as well as the fact that I've got a high pain tolerance, as the birth proved. The reason I didn't realise it was a flare-up is because for the last couple of weeks while I've been experiencing these problems, I've been going to the toilet, and while there has been some blood in the stool, or blood in my feces, which is one of the symptoms of ulcerative colitis and one of the symptoms of IBD, is actually the main symptom that causes a lot of people to get diagnosed. For anyone who's watched my pregnancy vlogs knows that I actually got hemorrhoids while I was pregnant, pretty badly. And when a hemorrhoid bursts, it causes quite a lot of blood in the toilet bowl. Now, because I have been trying to heal these hemorrhoids using hemorrhoid cream and other ointments and treatments, they have significantly reduced, but they have been popping every now and again as they start to shrink. So I could never be sure if the blood that was in the toilet was from ulcerative colitis or from the hemorrhoids bursting. But today I realised it is, or has been, at least for the last 2 weeks, from the ulcerative colitis. I have been using hemorrhoid treatment quite regularly for the last 3 months, and the hemorrhoids have been slowly going away, and they are almost completely gone. I don't need to go into too much detail. I don't know why I'm telling you all the nitty gritty, but I still have teeny tiny hemorrhoids, but they have mostly gone away. Now, earlier today, I actually had to take my car in for MOT, and the MOT garage is right around the corner from where my mum and dad live. Went to see my mum and dad with and spent the day with them while my car was getting MOT'd. While I was there and I used their toilet, as I said, my hemorrhoids have almost completely gone, and when I used their toilet, I didn't have a wee, I just had a number 2, and I decided to check the toilet because it didn't make sense that I am struggling this badly, or have been struggling this badly for the last 2 to 2.5 weeks. It doesn't feel muscular. My joints are in pain. My joints are aching. Any movement of the joints, regardless of what that movement is, regardless of if I've trained or not, regardless if I've done stretches, is hurting. My knees are crackling, my ankles are crackling, my joints are locking up anytime I do something or don't move for too long, or if I move in a certain position for too long and then trying to change, for example, going from a standing position to a sitting position, it is hurting like hell. To me, that was my arthritis playing up, but I couldn't be certain because I was also convinced I wasn't having an IBD flare-up. Well, when I went to my mum and dad's house and used their toilet for a number 2, there was streaks of blood in the poo itself, which is a sign that I am experiencing an IBD flare-up and probably have been for the last 2.5 weeks, going off approximately how long my arthritis has been playing up. Because for those who may have not seen previous vlogs, or if those who are new to my channel, when I have an IBD flare-up, it causes 2 things: anemia, which causes extreme exhaustion, and inflammatory arthritis. No, I am not swearing at you. This is actually the sign, the BSL sign for the number 2. So do apologise, I'm not swearing. This is literally how you sign BSL in number 2. It's become a habit now. Now, the fact that I actually went to my parents' house and went to the toilet and there was blood in my feces, it does explain why I've been struggling for the last 2.5 weeks and why I felt so unfit and why I've been struggling so badly. With my inflammatory arthritis playing up, all my joints are in pain, all my joints hurt, all my joints are stiff, and I am struggling to move. I am struggling to function as a human being. On top of that, because of my IBD flare-up, I've probably also been experiencing anemia, which explains why I'm needing 10 to 12 hours sleep most days at the moment. It explains why even after 6-7 hours sleep at night, that I'm still needing 3 to 5 hour naps through the day. I genuinely wake up about 7 o'clock in the morning on average or between 6 and 7, I'll be awake for a couple of hours while I express, and then I am physically falling asleep and have to go back upstairs and nap for another 3 hours, which is very annoying when Jason has to go to work and little man doesn't want to go down for a nap. And it also explains why earlier today, the reason I haven't done my exercises today, even though I really badly wanted to do my exercises, was because, as I said, I've been at my mum and dad's all day visiting with little man, and then when I've actually come home, I've ate my tea, I've expressed, and then halfway through expressing, I started falling asleep at my desk. I was literally sat here on my own. Well, I say on my own, Jason was next to me, and I was just sat here going, yum, 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 falling asleep. Literally falling asleep. There was nothing I could do, and ended up going upstairs and having a nap, and I napped until about 10:30. I think that was from about 7:30. From about 7:30 to 10:30 I napped. There's another 3 hours gone out of my day. And then I woke up, came downstairs, had something else to eat because I've not eaten much today, and expressed, and now here we are at midnight. Well, it's actually probably past midnight now because I've been blabbering, but still, it's a very late night. And it's frustrating. It is really frustrating because at first I was convinced it couldn't be a IBD or ulcerative colitis flare-up because I've not had anything different to eat. There has been no change in my diet whatsoever. And I thought about it and thought about it and thought about it. I thought, what have I had differently in the last 2 weeks that could have caused this? And I realised that we actually changed the type of cheese that we eat. For those of you who have watched my channel previously, you know that I am lactose allergic, technically, because the lactose in milk triggers my inflammatory bowel disease. So I'm very, very careful to only have lactose-free foods and lactose-free dairy products. So for example, extra mature cheddar cheese or hard cheeses like Gouda and the one that the Italians like to sprinkle on pasta. I can't remember the name of it. I want to say pepperoni, and it's definitely not pepperoni. Parmesan, that's the name of the cheese, Parmesan. I can have really, really hard, very mature, very aged cheeses because the way that the cheese is actually made, the bacteria eats the lactose, so that makes it safe for me to eat because it makes the cheese pretty much lactose free. Baby Bell, for example, is lactose free. Extra mature cheddar that is a mouthful. Extra mature cheddar cheese is also naturally lactose free. Parmesan is naturally lactose free, as well as a few other cheeses. But soft cheeses I can't eat. When we've gone to one of the shops recently, we started getting Edam. Now Edam is an aged cheese, so technically it should be safe for me to eat. However, I found out online today that not all Edam cheeses are lactose free. Most of them are, but not all of them. Apparently some Edam cheeses that you can get in supermarkets are not naturally lactose free because they are not fully aged, they're taken off the shelf slightly early and so still contain a trace amount of lactose, like -1% of lactose. And apparently that is enough to trigger me. We have been getting Edam cheese from Aldi, and while I have thought, oh yay, it's Edam, it's lactose free, I can eat it, apparently not. Apparently it still contains just enough lactose to trigger me, because that is the only thing I have had differently in my diet in the last 2.5 weeks. The one and only thing. Everything else has been the same stuff that I have been eating for the last 3 years. And while I do interchange now and again, and I thought maybe I've developed a new allergy, maybe I've developed a new intolerance, nope, I have actually been eating Edam cheese because we struggle to get to the shop where I get my usual mature cheddar cheese, or extra mature cheddar cheese. That is still a mouthful. We have been struggling to get to that shop for a while. So because of that, we've been getting Edam cheese from Aldi, thinking it's safe until I can go to that shop to get the cheddar cheese. And that doesn't appear to be the case, which is frustrating. It is really frustrating when you think a food is safe and you've done your research to suggest a food is safe and then find out that, oh no, more recent research has suggested that the food is not as safe as you think it is. And you know what? I was racking my brain. I was racking my brain for at least a week and a half. Trying to think, it does feel like my arthritis is playing up, it does feel like I'm experiencing a flare-up, but this doesn't make sense because I'm not eating anything differently, so I can't be having a flare-up. Maybe it's something else, maybe it's a change in the weather, maybe it's I've developed a new allergy. No, it turns out it's most likely the Edam cheese, which is frustrating and annoying because it means that I could have avoided this pain. I could have avoided all of this if I'd just done a smidgen more research and actually found out that Edam cheese isn't all the same. Not all Edam cheese is lactose free. Only some Edam cheese is lactose free, like Baby Bell, which is really freaking frustrating. I'm upset with myself. I'm really upset with myself because I have had so much difficulty and so much challenge just trying to move around the house these last 2.5 weeks. Trying to get up off the floor and being in agony, not being able to get up off the floor at all some days, and actually having Jason help me up, or having to use chairs and sofas in order to get myself up when little man is screaming on the floor wanting to be picked up because he's bored of his playmat, or even if he's unsettled and needs walking around in order to calm down, and I'm limping, literally limping around the house trying to settle him because my hips are locking up and my knees are locking up and I can't put a lot of weight on them. And then obviously it's been affecting my fitness and my calisthenics, and I'm like, this all could have been avoided. This all could have been avoided by just going the shop, or making the effort to go that little bit extra distance and go to the shop and get the cheese that I know is safe. But I thought, no, I'm going to be smart and get the Edam cheese, which I thought was safe and turned out it's not so safe. And this is also why I check ingredients on everything I eat, which is also frustrating because there's so many foods I can't eat. You have no idea how many foods in the UK contain caffeine or milk. There's so many foods. Nearly every sauce has milk in it. Nearly every bakery product has milk in it. Almost every meal, like ready meals and stuff like that, all have milk in them. Most meals at restaurants have milk in them in some way, shape or form, whether or not it's in the batter, in the sauce, in the dressing. I have to be so careful. And it's debilitating. It's frustrating and it's hard when your favourite foods in the world is cheese, like Lancashire cheese. My God, I used to eat Lancashire cheese by the block. I loved it so much. And ice cream and chocolate, and you love coffee and brews. And then one day being told you can't have your favourite foods anymore. You can't have the foods you love. You can't have cake anymore unless it's vegan. You can't have brews anymore at all. You can't have biscuits anymore, you can't have ice cream, you can't have most chocolates, you can't have cookies and crisps. There are some crisps I can't have because, like, for example, Pringles sour cream and onion, my favourite crisp for years. Can't have those because, as the flavour suggests, there is milk in that. Can't have Horlicks. I love Horlicks so much, and I can't have Horlicks. Sorry, I think I needed that rant. It's irritating and it's frustrating when you love a food and your enjoyment comes from food. People don't believe me when I say that my diet is stupidly controlled, and it is. People don't believe me when I say I don't have a lot of sugar and I don't have a lot of junk food. It's true, because I can't. I'm allergic to most of it. McDonald's, for example, most of the foods I like from McDonald's contain milk or beef in some way, shape or form, which I can't eat. And to be fair, I don't like McDonald's anymore, but that's not the point. I don't eat junk food. I don't eat most sweets. I don't eat chocolates. I don't eat ice cream. I don't eat crap, and I still look this way. This is just naturally the way I am. I'm just naturally a big girl. And people do not believe me when I say that I have a ridiculously strict, controlled diet. I do. And it hurts. And it's painful. And I cannot describe the level of impulse control and emotional control you need in order to have a diet that is this restricted. Sorry, I'm not even like emotionally down. I've been battling this for what, 20, 30 years? No, 20 odd years of my life now. And I've gone through such an emotional mess, such a mental mess over it all. And I still struggle with it every single day. I still struggle going down the chocolate aisles of shops and not picking up chocolate because I'm so desperate for it. I still struggle going down the freezer section and having to hunt down vegan ice cream only to find that they've not restocked, or they decided it's not popular enough so they're not getting it in anymore, or they've just sold out, or they've moved it again and you can't find it. But there's then walls and walls of ice cream, of your favourite ice cream, like Haagen-Dazs, that you can't touch. The level of impulse control is insane. The level of emotional control you need to have is insane when your comfort is food, your enjoyment is food. Sorry, I've gone on a bit of a ramble here. This is probably going to be a video all in its own of me just rambling about the fact that I've had an IBD flare-up and my diet is so controlled. Anyway, I'm going to leave that there because I think I've rambled enough tonight and I'm getting frustrated because life is very hard. It's unfairly hard for a lot of people. I think the thing that frustrates me more though is I'm experiencing things like this. I've literally had 2.5 weeks where I've struggled to walk, where I struggled to move, where I struggled to get up off the floor, get up out of a chair, and yet the government still feel I'm not entitled to personal independence payment because my condition isn't severe enough or doesn't happen often enough, when in reality I'm technically speaking disabled, but they don't see it that way because apparently having a registered medical disability isn't enough anymore. There's been a lot of frustrations. I think my IBD flaring up or finding out that I'm having an IBD flare up for the last 2.5 weeks is just the tip of the iceberg or the cherry on top of the cake of the financial stress and worries, the mobility stress and worries, growth spurt challenges. Little man is going through another growth spurt, which I think I mentioned in last week's video. I might not have actually, because he's been going through a growth spurt since Saturday and I don't think I've vlogged since Saturday. But little man's going through another growth spurt. So he's been very restless and fussy and cluster feeding like crazy over the last few days, which has not been helping to the stress because, especially with my anemia playing up and desperately needing a nap and him not going down for a nap because he's having his growth spurt, so he's uncomfy and he's restless. It's been a challenging couple of weeks. It's been a very, very challenging couple of weeks. But now that I know potentially what has caused this flare up and what is therefore causing my arthritis to be playing up, and my anemia to be playing up, which has been causing my problems for the last 2.5 weeks or making it difficult for me to exercise the last 2.5 weeks. Hopefully that means that this week, probably going to take me about a week to heal from the flare up considering how long it's lasted, but hopefully it means that for the rest of the week I might actually have a fighting chance of getting some exercise in. Anyway, I've been chatting for long enough. It's nearly 1 o'clock in the morning and I need to be up at 6 or 7 in the morning to look after little man, and no doubt I'm going to need a nap at some point during the day. So I'm going to leave that video here. Thanks ever so much for watching, guys. Thank you for listening to my rant. I am very grateful and I apologise that you've had to sit through that, but I really needed to get it off my chest more than I realised. I'm just so frustrated with myself. I am so frustrated with myself for not realising sooner. If I'd realised sooner, I wouldn't have been anywhere near as much pain than what I've been for the last 2.5 weeks.